Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hot Mess Podcast. I'm your host, John Fay, with Allison Silbovsky and Jordan Ezel. And we have a special guest today, Tori Hivner. I'll get to introducing her in just a moment. So we are, for those who haven't watched us before, we are a podcast by students for students. We are all Temple University students at the moment in some way, shape, or form, and we're all in the communications field. So we try to give you some of our opinions on things that are going on, advice for internships and finding jobs if you're on your way out of college or even at the beginning of college. And today we have our guest, Tori Hivner. She is a advertising major here at Temple, and she is a senior. So like me, she's got one semester left.
Almost there.
Yeah, and we wanted to kind of go over how college has been for you and your experiences. So we just want you to give a little introduction of yourself for our audience.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Tori. I'm a senior advertising major at Temple University, graduating this upcoming spring 2021, so that's exciting. This past semester, I had an internship with Digitas Health, which is a part of the Publicis Group. It's a pharmaceutical company, and I had a copywriting position there. So it's a little bit about me.
Yeah, that's why I thought it'd be interesting to interview Tori, just because mostly with the show, we all want to have just different people coming within the advertising market to talk about the positions and what they've done. So I know pharma is a really, really big, prominent industry in advertising. So I thought it'd be interesting to kind of talk to you about your experience copywriting. And I know things have just were different for you with COVID. So
Yes.
should be a good intro episode. It's got some good questions to ask you. Okay. So what's your full track, and then how did you decide on it?
Yeah, so my major is advertising, and then Temple students, and for those of you who don't know, within advertising, you have to declare a track. So I actually have two tracks. I have one in copywriting and one in brand strategy and research. So the way I actually stumbled into advertising is a little different. I went into college at the University of the Arts, which is also in Philadelphia, where I was a dance major, and I had a business minor. And I ended up taking an intro to copywriting class at my old school. And I was like, you know what? Like, I like this better. So I ended up transferring to Temple my junior year. And I switched into the advertising program and I did the copywriting track. It was great. I loved it. And then I actually had to take some other intro level courses. And one of them was brand strategy and research. And that's when I was kind of like, like, I kind of like this too. So luckily it worked out that I could do both tracks.
I'm not, since I didn't go to Temple for undergrad, I'm not 100% sure what all of the majors are under advertising. What, I guess, like, what stuck out to you about the tracks that you're going into, I guess, related to what else Temple offers?
Yeah, so currently there are 5 tracks within the advertising major. They're account management, media planning, copywriting, art direction, and the brand strategy and research track. So I kind of like that Temple does that about their major, so then it can really see like what students are interested in and if they can see themselves going into that position. But basically I was drawn into the copywriting one right off the bat because I had that experience at my other school. I thought writing was really fun. I've always been into writing and reading, so I think that worked out really well. But strategy, it was kind of unique because it was the professor. His name is Dr. Ryan Eanes. I'm actually taking a winter course with him. Yeah,
I've had him. He's great.
Yeah, he's awesome. Just a super intelligent man. Like, he's a great lecturer. All the information like really stood out to me, and I just found it so fascinating. So I just was really interested in pursuing that as well. Just kind of because why not? Like a lot of the things too about Temple's tracks is it's very easy to double track because a lot of the classes overlap with each other.
Yeah.
So that's really nice, and a lot of students actually do end up doing that, and I definitely recommend it to people all the time because it's fun.
I have another question. Do you feel your brand strategy and research track helps you out with copywriting?
Yes, I actually do, especially at my internship. So I was kind of worried about like picking kind of like a track because copywriting is kind of more on the creative side and strategy is more on like the account.
Yeah, the like non-creative. Yeah.
Yeah, just different sides of things. But when I was at Digitas Health, a lot of it is medical based and a lot of like science and like understanding like the diseases and the drugs that you're working on. So a lot of like that practice was played into like research and kind of like strategy first, like getting to know everything. And then you portray that into your writing and your execution. So like I really enjoy that about pharma because I kind of get to put both at practice. So they do kind of go hand in hand. So it is kind of nice.
That's great. Another question that we had for you. It's very important for people, especially in the communications field, to have more than one internship. We're wondering, what are some internships that you've had, and or I should say, what's been your most recent internship you've had? And what were your responsibilities during that internship?
Yeah, so my most recent internship was actually at Digitas Health. And since I kind of started so late as a junior, that was my only internship so far. But basically, my responsibilities there as the copywriting intern. I would sit in on meetings consistently with the creative team and the account team. And eventually, after learning those kinds of ropes and walking through how you kind of draft up the copy docs and things like that, my manager was able to let me get my hands on some things and create 2 posts for our brand and client. And then I actually ended up getting to like present my work to the client, which was super cool. And that doesn't really happen for interns. So it was kind of just like building blocks of learning the ropes and then putting those skills into practice. And then I'm also, this isn't really an internship, but I'm the agency director for Allotrope Student Agency at Temple. It's a part of Temple Advertising Club. But basically, we're a student-led, student-run agency, and we work with real clients. So I kind of oversee everything that the students and the teams are doing before it goes out to the client. I'm in charge of getting the client. I work hand in hand with our creative director. And this semester, we're actually working in collaboration with Red Tedimer to provide our services to Black-owned businesses in Philadelphia. So that's going to be super
That's so great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And a little plug to the Temple Advertising
Yes,
Club.
Allison.
Allotrope Agency. Love that.
So we gotta
Yes.
give Allison a shout out there too.
Promo.
So going back to like Digitas and so we know it's like a pharmaceutical advertising place, and typically a lot of advertising students are either they love pharma or they don't love pharma. Can you just like say like what drew you to pharma? I mean, I know you touched about it briefly, but just like what drew you to pharma and why it's like different, what you like about it more?
Yeah, of course. So like I kind of explained how I ended up in advertising and like copywriting, but for pharma, it was kind of interesting. So I guess it's a good thing I mentioned TAC because that's a big reason why I ended up at DH. But so Temple Ad Club does kind of agency crawls and agency days when we're in person. It's just a great networking experience for the students. So we went to an agency day at Publicis Health Media, which is, I think it's like right next to City Hall by Macy's. And we did that one day in January. And I remember I was not gonna go. Like I was just like, oh, I'd rather go to class. Like I don't know if I want to go. But then I ended up going because my copywriting professor, Joe Glennon, he was like, no, you need to go. That's a great company.
Yeah.
You can get my class and go. So I was like, all right, I'll go. So we went there and I ended up getting to talk to a bunch of different people. I think they had someone from each department, like account, media, copy, and things like that. So it was just kind of like an open panel. And I remember asking the copywriter, I was like, do you ever feel like confined by kind of like all the regulatory aspects, the FDA, things like that? And she was like, I mean, sometimes, but it actually like means you have to be more creative and put those skills to use of how you can get a message across creatively with everything, like all the regulations and everything. So I was just kind of like, okay. So then I ended up looking more into it. They came to our career fair before COVID shut down Temple's campus. And they ended up having to cancel their summer program. But I ended up starting out at the Publicis Health Academy, which was just kind of like a lecture series over the summer. And then from there, that's when they were able to like kind of construct an internship program. But that's how I ended up in pharma, because a fellow copywriter was like, you have to be more creative than you think. And it was really true. So that's just what drew me in, and that's how I ended up there.
So a question that I have is, and this is kind of like I feel like this is a very common theme in our industry. Did you network at all in order to get yourself out this opportunity, or did you, what did you do
Yeah.
when it came to networking?
Yeah. So I think, again, just like being like for Temple students in particular, like Temple Ag Club is such a great networking tool for students. Like it's just, that's the reason I got my internship. But yeah, I think going there and like being proactive and like being communicative with people there and like getting your name out there, introducing yourself, asking those questions. That's how I met. Her name was Helen, the copywriter who I spoke to. She was the president of TAC like 3 years ago, I think, which like I didn't even know she went to Temple.
Mm-hmm.
So that opens up a whole other like pool of communication. So I talked to her, and then I went and visited them again at the career fair. So I met somebody else there. I connected with them on LinkedIn. And then you just kind of like keep growing on those networks from there and just keep reaching out to people in a company. So I definitely think we talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
Because we live together, if you couldn't tell. But we talk about how networking is key, and it's usually about who you know. If you know somebody, you can get your way in.
So the point stance is correct here too.
Connections.
Still a common theme.
So for your concentration, for your track that you've done, and the internships you've had, how did you know that it was a good fit for you? Like, what was the moment you had where you were just like, this is what I want to do? Like, this is really, like, was there a particular moment, or was it a couple different moments that you had?
That's such a good question. I've never really thought of it like that. I think definitely like it was a sign when I was at my old school and I was in advertising and copywriting courses, and I wanted to make that switch. Like that was a big sign. But I think I was worried too, like coming to Temple, I didn't know anybody. I didn't really know that much about copywriting or advertising for that matter. So I think just literally my first week at Temple, I was just kind of like, I made the right choice, because it felt like it was such a natural fit. Like it was just like, I should have been doing this the whole time, and I wish I would have, but I also wouldn't have known if I didn't go into the wrong field to find the right one. Right. So I think it was just kind of that first week. It just felt so natural, which is so weird, but that's the best way to describe it.
That's honestly like, that's a good point, because a lot of people also say like, when it's like the right college or the right major, you feel it. Like I knew Temple was the right one because I felt different on the campus. Like I knew I wanted to go there. So I feel, that's a great point.
I'm glad that you can feel my pain.
Mine would be the excitement that you get from a class. There are certain classes that I've taken where I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I want to do. This is something that sparks inside of you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
I had that happen last semester. I'm a journalism major, and one of the classes I had to take was photography, and I took it with Sarah. Her name is Landwehr now. She used to be Professor Sarah Fry. She also does a lot of the internship stuff with Klein. And I had done some photography work in one of the jobs that I still have with Levittown now. And it had always been interesting to me, but that class, I fell in love with photography from it. It was just like, I felt like I need to incorporate this into my work more. So that was one of those moments I had where I was just like, I really need to like that was kind of like a life-changing class in my opinion. Like I really looked at like my field a lot differently after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like we're all inclined. I think we're all somewhat inclined because
I think we're all Klein.
Yeah, I just feel like Klein is such an amazing college. Like I'm biased. Like I definitely think it's the best one on Temple's campus. I think if I was in a different college, like Fox or something, I wouldn't be as happy.
No. I got my toe in both.
Undergrad, it's a lot of math. Like
That's
econ,
true.
No. So I don't know. I am biased. I love all the professors in Klein.
Yeah.
Klein is honestly like such a great school. Like it's small too, so you can like really get like within the school and like meet all the professors and everything. Like Fox, I feel is just like very big, while it's like a great school.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah, I'd have to say because I'm in both programs for grad school. So I've got usually an advertising and a marketing class each semester. And it's so funny the vast difference between my professors in marketing compared to, Fox compared to Klein. They're all, great in their own way, but each one has just a different, I feel like the Klein professors are the ones that have really really good connections, and they have experience within ad agencies. And then the marketing side of things, my professors still have great connections, but they're more direct and straight up about, okay, this is what to expect type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah, I feel like too, like my best friend is a business major at Penn State and like the Smeal College, I think that's the business school there. But we were like comparing resumes, and she was like, yours looks so nice. Like mine can't look like that. Like I'm not allowed to have like any type of color or font or anything. Like, and it's just crazy. It's just such a different.
It really is.
It's a different world.
Yeah. It's crazy.
What else do we have for you? Okay, so what would you say is the most valuable lesson or most valuable aspect that you took out of your internship?
Oh, I took so much out of that internship. I think one of the most important things, and I feel like I was pretty good about this before, but actually putting that into practice, it's definitely not getting too attached to your work. And writing is rewriting. I have rewrote so many things, but it ends up being a really cool product, because that's something too that we don't really get to do much at Temple for creatives, like working with an art director or a copywriter, vice versa, whatever the situation is. Like bouncing ideas off of another creative, like for me, I see it in writing, but they see it visually.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was a really cool experience that I got to have and kind of adapt my expectations or like my ideas into something that was even better than I could have imagined. But it's also with pharma in particular, don't get too attached to what you have, because you might not be able to say that.
So do you have any like just any advice you can give like other college students, under any other undergrad students like looking to get an internship or just finding what they want to do, because you did have to find what you want to do?
Yeah, I think for sure, for internships in particular, like get involved, utilize your schools or like anything, any resources that you have for connections. Like if there's a club that's something you might even be remotely interested, like go ahead and join it. You don't know where it could take you. I didn't know what I was doing when I transferred to Temple, so my first instinct was to go into the advertising club, because why not? And in a year, it's just given me so much. It's helped me grow a lot. It's helped me realize this is what I want to do. And it also helps you make connections. Like that's the biggest part of getting involved, is that could lead you somewhere that you really want to be. And then what was the other question? I feel like there was
Just like advice that
advice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would say just don't be afraid to. I think for me, I kind of knew towards the beginning of my sophomore year of college that I might not want to dance anymore. And that's something hard. Like, especially when you're going into college and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Like you have your mindset to something. It can be hard to make changes if they're just hard to make. Like, especially when you've like thought about this your whole life. You're like,
Right,
do I want to
scary, take a jump?
yeah,
Like that.
do I want to just completely change my plans? Like I didn't know anybody at Temple, but I think just being real with yourself and like sitting down and being like, if this is something you want, then like go for it. Like it doesn't matter if you don't know anybody, just take the chance. I didn't know anybody going to Temple, and now I know so many people, and I'm so sad to leave everybody in the spring. But I think just like being real with yourself and working for what you want, putting in the work to get what you want is definitely important. But if it's something that you really want to do, you will work for it. So I think just being honest with yourself is a big piece of advice that I have.
So I feel like on the show we talk a lot about how to get jobs, but I feel like we haven't talked about the subject of what to do if you've been rejected from a job, or how to keep yourself going through that. So Tori, do you have any experiences where you thought something was going to go one way and it ended up going a different way, or like got a rejection? Like how would even we can bring this up for like a discussion. Like what did you do?
Yeah, I think I had a lot of rejections being a dancer as well, like just for summer programs and whatnot, and also a lot of rejections for jobs and internships within advertising. I think just not letting that defeat you. Like that's why I think I encourage a lot of people in allotrope to apply to multiple things. Keep your options open. Expand your network. Don't put all your eggs in one basket with one internship program. I think I applied to about 5 or 7, like pre-COVID.
Mhm.
And then those connections did come back around and it worked out. But I think just really not letting something maybe not being a right fit for you, or they wanted somebody with more experience, just like take it and run, take it with a grain of salt, and just keep going. Just keep getting your applications out there, keep making connections on LinkedIn, keep talking to professors, things like that. But yeah, it can be hard too, because I've been rejected from jobs that like I had a lot of interest in, and it's just like clearly it's an automated thing of, yeah, we're not moving forward with you. I think it's really beneficial for employers to emphasize why. Like, was it just not a right fit? Was my writing style not in alignment with what you guys do? Like, what could I do better? I think that companies and employers need to get better about that.
I definitely agree with that, because when you just get the like the automated message, like the automated email that just says, sorry, you weren't a fit for so and so position, it doesn't help us to grow. And like, how are we supposed to know like what aspect wasn't the right fit?
So, right. Yeah, and I think like there's times when you're reading the job description, you're thinking, oh, this is perfect for me. This is exactly what I want to do.
I can do all this.
Yeah, and I can back it up with proof of examples of my work, and then getting a rejection email, and especially getting multiple of them at one time. I remember I got a rejection from a job that I really wanted, so like a while ago, and then I got another 2 rejections in the email, and just that day, which is not a great one, but it's hard for employers to find the time to even get back to people that they are interested in hiring. So I feel like that's probably why they don't say, oh, hey, this is the reason why we're not going with you.
Yeah.
But I do agree, it could take like a few seconds just to put a little bit of it, it would be beneficial for anyone moving forward. Okay, this didn't work out for this reason. Maybe it's the lack of, like, I could go for some more certifications, or I can try for, maybe start a side project to give me more experience or something like that. Would be helpful.
Yeah. And I think sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say my first semester, I transferred to Temple fall 2019, and I applied for an internship with my favorite newspaper of all time, and I got one of the generic, sorry, we're not continuing with you. And I'd gotten a bunch of rejections before that, which, it's just, you have to expect that. But that one was just like, ow, my pride. When it's a place you really like, it's just like, ugh. But you have to remember, you just have to keep going. You have to keep, the saying I like is like, it's like fishing. Like if you put more lines out, you'll be able to catch more stuff.
Yeah.
If you just put one line out, you'll only catch so many things.
I like that analogy. That's great.
Yeah, that was Mr. Fay. That was my father who said that to me. He told me that a long time ago, and that always stuck in my head.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, everything happens for a reason. So if maybe one opportunity didn't work out, there's another reason, or there's something else might be coming your way that might even be a better fit for you. So keeping that in mind, just like Tori said, just take it with a grain of salt.
Right. Yeah. And I think that like never giving up is like something so important too, because Jojo and I have been in the same boat where even if we didn't have an internship, like we're pretty independent here. This is our home. Like we are here basically all the time. So we're constantly needing jobs to like pay rent and things like that, pay our bills. So I know when I first transferred to Temple, I was still being a barista at Starbucks, getting up before class and like working 4 days a week. So I think just like really working towards what you want and like not giving up until you get it. Like it's just, it's hard to like have that mentality some days. Like it's hard to get up and just feel motivated all the time, but it just, hard work pays off. Like that's like the biggest thing I can emphasize. Like it makes all the rejection okay once you finally like get there, because anyone who works hard will get there.
And I have another example. So it's not just for like internships, but so like I was rejected. I went into college wanting to be in the art direction program for Temple, and I actually did not get into the program. But it was after that rejection, that was like a really hard rejection, that I realized that I really love video, and that's why I declared my second media studies and production major. But if I didn't get that rejection, I wouldn't have found the video aspect, and I wouldn't have found MSP, and that's what I wanted to do. So sometimes like it is just like, it's okay what happens, because it just wasn't meant to be. Like if it's not meant to be, it just, something else will happen. You'll be okay.
Right. It'll all work out in the end.
Yeah. It's so true. We talk about that all the time. We live together, so like we kind of like are in the loop, everything going on. But every time it's just like everything will happen for a reason.
Right.
It's gonna happen. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
It'll be interesting to look back 5 years from now, because we all house and you might be frozen. Oh wait.
Oh.
Hi.
Right. You're back.
Okay. All right.
But yeah.
Just part of the job. It's a part of any job. I feel
It's
like
part of life.
Yeah, it's hard, but you make do. You just gotta keep going.
Exactly.
That's-
Is there any other questions that we want to
I
ask?
think so. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
This was-
Thank you so much for coming on. We really like talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good show.
Yes. All right, everyone. Well, this is the Hot Mess Podcast. I am your host, John Fay, with Allison Silbofsky, Jordan Ezel, and our special guest, Tori Hivner. Thank you for coming on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Of course.